Yo, what up, everybody? It's Blessed Mindset, and we back with another video. Listen, guys, we dropping vids every Monday and Wednesdays at 5 p.m. We streaming live straight on Facebook at, 6 p.m., and dropping that vid every Saturday, 12 p.m. So stay tuned, you know what I'm saying? We got a lot of stuff we about to cover. Lectures, we doing debates, we doing reactions. So, you know what I'm saying? Hit that subscribe button, baby, But today we got something smooth and simple, right? We got top 10 Jubilee debates in 2025. We about to react to this and see how it goes, man. We got Jordan Peterson, Candace Owens, Amanda Seals, so we about to see what's popping. So, let's get it.
I am Amanda Seals.
Hey guys, what's up? This is Andrew Callahan.
Hi, my name is Candace Owens.
Hi, I'm Sam Cedar. I'm Dr. Mikhail Varshavsky, better known as Dr. Mike across social media.
I'm Skip Bayless.
I'm Mehdi Hassan. I'm a journalist. I'm the editor of Zeteo.
My name is Brian Johnson.
Hi, my name is Alex O'Connor.
I'm Dr. Jordan Peterson, and today I'm surrounded by 25 atheists. My next claim is that morality and purpose cannot be found within science.
Jordan Peterson first, guys.
How you doing?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I guess since you said morality and purpose cannot be found in science.
Oh man, this boy Parker, man. He's a sweaty debater, man. You know what I'm saying? He just tries to win the argument too much. He ain't into no real discussions, But he's a blood sport debater for sure.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I guess since you said morality and purpose cannot be found in science, it would just depend on what you're referencing. If you're saying a description of your psychological preferences would be considered within science, sure. But I don't think that you have to say that it comes from science in order to be like an atheist. As an agnostic atheist, I don't know if God exists and I don't believe that a God exists. And the only ones that I would really reject would be like the all-knowing, all-powerful, all-good, perfect notion of God that plenty of Christians prescribe themselves. So I guess
How is that relevant to this claim?
You're basing a position of morality and purpose in some notion of God that isn't the same type of notion of God that typical Christians would prescribe. Your notion of God is
what typical Christians?
Yeah, typically when I talk to Christians, they say that they believe in an all-knowing.
How about Cardinal Newman, who defined God as conscience? He's a major influence on all of Catholic social theory. How about that Christian?
Yeah, you can't put Peterson in the same category. That's his problem. Just because Peterson don't interpret, scripture in the same way that other Christians do, don't mean that his way of, interpreting it is incorrect. You're going to have to, justify that he's incorrect.
Sure. So do you believe in the all-knowing, all-powerful, all-good notion of God?
What do you mean by believe?
Do you think it to be true?
That's the circular definition. What do you mean when you say you believe?
How is that circular?
Because you added no content to the answer by substituting the word true and believe.
I said you think it to be true.
All right. So if you believe something, you stake your life on it.
What do you mean by that?
You live for it and you die for it. That's what I mean by that. It isn't something that you say. It isn't something that's associated with logical consistency. It's not declarative. It's not propositional. It's not a figment of your imagination. It's the presupposition of your attention and your action. And you're either fragmented, in which case you worship multiple gods, or there's some unity at the bottom of it that makes you an unstoppable force.
Okay, so you're saying that you don't believe something if you wouldn't die for it?
Not really, no.
Okay. So then,
how would you define belief? Something you say?
Well, can I explain? I could believe it is the case that this pen exists, but if someone threatened my life, right, I would lie in order to be able to save my life, right? I think you would do that too. You wouldn't lie to save your life?
Don't be so sure.
You wouldn't lie to save your life?
How much do you know about me? I didn't lie to save my career. I didn't lie to save my clinical practice.
Would you lie to save your children, your mom, your dad?
I don't think lying would save them.
No, can there ever be a circumstance logically that lying could save someone?
Yeah, and if you're steeped in sin, you're likely to live in circumstances like that.
I'll give you an example. If you're like in like Nazi Germany, and it is the case that there's like Jewish people in your attic and you're trying to protect them, would you lie to like the Nazis? If
I
they're
would have
asking?
done everything I bloody well could, so I wouldn't be in that situation
you
to
lie?
begin with. It's a hypothetical, and it's
You
not
can't answer
answerable.
hypotheticals?
No, I can't answer a hypothetical like
What?
that because
Did
it's
you eat
far.
today?
Look,
Did you eat
don't
today?
play games.
I'm not playing a game. I'm just
Yes,
asking if you ate
are.
it today.
If you present me with an intractable moral choice that's stripped of context and you back me into a corner, you're playing game. I just told you
Hypothetical?
I would do everything that I could to make sure that I'm never in that situation. By the time you've got there, you've made so many mistakes that there's nothing you can do that isn't a sin.
Being born in Nazi Germany and trying to protect people that you care about, like there could be a Jewish friend that you have and you want to protect them.
I think you should
have
just
them in
give
your
up on
attic.
that line of questioning.
Give up on just like trying to
Yeah,
clarify.
Parker is just like, he's just trying to win a debate, bro. And it don't really got anything to do with this this prompt, really, you know what I'm saying? But I'll give it to him. He's putting Peterson in the corner, though, you know what I'm saying? But it don't really got anything to do with anything, to be honest.
Their position? Because you
I
don't
did
like, are you like
clarify.
uncomfortable with me asking this question? It's just a basic hypothetical. Like I could ask you.
It's just a
could you-
basic
yeah, yeah.
hypothetical
Like,
where you
if you
put Jews' lives at stake in Nazi Germany. That's just a basic hypothetical.
obviously you would lie in that scenario to save their life, but you're like not trying to answer this question for some reason.
I just told you why.
Are you anti-fascist? Like so you're
Why are
anti-fascist?
you asking that?
I was just asking, just clarifying.
What does this have to
But,
do with
okay,
anything?
Again, you're not answering this hypothetical because you know it shows that you clearly would lie to save
I'm
someone's life.
answering it in
Obviously,
a
that's
manner
not what
you
truth
don't
is.
find acceptable.
Obviously, 'cause I care about
you're-
truth.
I wouldn't be in that scenario.
Obviously, right? Logically, because that's
No.
already happened. Like that's in the past. You don't have a time travel device. We're bringing this logical hypothetical up to show you that in some circumstances that do happen within the real world, you would lie to save people's lives. So your definition of truth isn't actually how we're typically using it. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to muddy the waters when I ask you, like, do you believe this? Do you think this to be true? So you don't actually have to answer the questions. And plenty of Christians don't like that because they clearly see that you don't really like want to be associated with
I can
Christianity. with that
imagine
respect.
that I was in a situation where the best I could do as a consequence of my previous mistakes was to tell the least amount of lie I could manage. But that would likely indicate that I had made all sorts of catastrophic errors on my way there.
So
Right.
you would lie to save someone's life. So again, you do believe it to be true in that circumstance.
I mean, that's a sophisticated answer, you know what I'm saying? He said he's going to tell the least amount of lies.
even though you like lied in that scenario. So
Not
clearly that's not
without
what
the
you see to be true.
context that I put it in.
You were not willing to
I
die for it. You
said-
were not willing to let other people die for it. So that's not what you see to be true then, seemingly.
You're doing exactly what I said you were doing at the beginning of the conversation. You're generating an impossible, restricted, hypothetical with no precursors to back me into a
How is
corner.
it possible? Is there something contradictory about it? Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too.
This nigga Parker, bro, this man is like, all he's
you.
trying to do is just
Okay,
win.
so you say that women are more fulfilled at home with kids than going out into the workforce or getting educated, but that just really doesn't bear out when you look at the stats, when you look at how working mothers are way less likely to be in poverty. Maternal education is the #1 predictor of childhood outcomes, better scores, getting higher incomes in the future, fewer behavioral problems, better mental health. So it's weird to me and college educated women are least likely to get divorced, and they're the only women, the top 10% of women in socioeconomic, the top 10% of women are the only women whose marriage rates are going up. So they're getting married, they're staying married, and their kids are doing better. When you look at stay-at-home mothers, you see that they're more likely to report being depressed, they're more likely to report having anxiety and anger and all these types of things. So how can you say that? Seems like a woman, if you want to get married and have kids, you should go to college and have a career.
So it sounds to me like we are looking at totally different statistics because everything that you said, I've actually read the exact opposite.
I'm glad we're on a fact check show with you.
Right, exactly.
Oh, it's so exciting.
That's going to be
Please.
amazing. Okay,
Okay.
because I know, like I said, I think
She's
what we're
hollering,
talking
bro,
about is
for
that there
no
was this
reason.
widespread report on female happiness, and I know that it was formally debunked and it was.
That's
spread
not what
by
I'm
the-
talking about. Pew Research,
Right.
University of
Okay.
California. In fact, working mothers today spend more time with their children than women did in the 1960s that were at home.
Okay, well, women that are at home are obviously spending more time with their children than the people who are at work.
And their
today.
children are not faring off any better,
Okay.
and they're faring off worse.
How are you measuring their children faring off worse?
How likely they are to higher incomes, better scores, fewer health problems, fewer
Okay.
behavioral issues, and
Okay.
better mental health.
So the just to get back to the claim that I'm making here is that it is obvious that women who have children are going to be more fulfilled.
How is
right?
that obvious? Because you said so?
No, it's not obvious because I said so. It's because when you look at all the statistics in terms of women who are choosing not to have families, they are, as the person who just sat here before you mentioned, they are suffering from more depression, they're suffering from more anxiety, yes,
when you look at
you
people
can't just
who
say
voluntarily don't have children, no, I'm not saying that, but that's not true.
Okay, it is true. It is actually true that women who are choosing their careers over starting families are finding themselves leaning more onto medicines like Xanax, anxiety-inducing medicines, and depression because they suspended that time frame where women really should be looking to find a partner and to start a family because they were instead pursuing their careers.
Then why are they better off
It is a dishonest, it is totally a dishonest narrative that men and women want the same things out of life. We don't. We absolutely do not want the same things out of life. In fact, we don't even measure success the same. Men and women don't even measure success the same.
So,
okay?
but tell me how the women who are working and getting educated, why are they faring off better in all of these?
I am telling you that I do not believe they are faring off better in all of these measures.
And you're doing that because of what?
I am telling you that we are looking at totally opposite statistics. Like, so you're sitting here telling me that the statistics show that women who are working are producing better children. And I'm saying
There's
that
2012 Gallup poll that said that women staying at home
exactly wrong, saying that women that grow up in a two-family home where the mother stays at home are faring off better than the children who are being raised in an environment
where the women are working,
where both of the parents
so
are
why
working
don't you
away
stay
from
home?
the home. I do get to work from home.
No, but
that's the irony.
I've watched your show. You talk about all the nannies you hire, and it's so hard to find a good nanny.
I talked about all of the nannies I hired.
Yeah, you have.
I spoke about how difficult it was to find a babysitter who knew how to cook a meal, and that's because
you don't need a babysitter. You're already. You could retire right now.
You have to let people respond to you when they're speaking.
You don't want to.
To respond to you when I speak?
You don't want to. You want to be working, which is great.
You're telling me what I want now and then accusing me of telling you
Wait,
what
you don't want to work?
Can you just let me finish? Because you've said so many words that what you're trying to do here, like your argument style, is I'm going to say so much and not let her get a word in and then walk away and feel like I've won. We're not having a conversation because you've not letting me respond to even one of your points.
Go for it.
Okay? What I am saying to you, first to answer what you just said, which was a lie, what I spoke to you about on the weekends is that it's been increasingly difficult to find a 25-year-old who even knows how to make boxed macaroni and cheese, right? And that's crazy. That is in large part due to feminism. Women don't even focus. Like there's this idea that women shouldn't be cooking. Like there's something fundamentally wrong with women even learning how to cook.
Are you
know
spending
what I mean?
as much time with your children as you possibly can? Because that's the way to get the most fulfillment.
No, and that's what I'm trying to say. I am speaking to you
so then stop.
Okay, could you please let somebody get in
I did.
Word
I
edgewise?
let you finish.
You're not. You actually have not let anybody finish. And like I said, it's no one benefits when you're just speaking over me and not allowing me to respond. All you're proving is that you have an attitude and you believe in feminism, but you're not. That's what I'm saying. You just have an attitude,
like,
and it's
bro,
not.
Why she keep cutting her off?
It's performative.
I'd love if you address my point. I will be quiet if you address my point.
Does anybody actually feel here that I am being allowed to address any of her points when she just keeps running over me? Like I'm literally trying to answer your first point of you saying that I don't stay at home.
Yeah, that was really weird. Yeah.
Fair point. Obviously, I get that you're all anti-Candace and pro-feminist, but also it's not productive if you're not actually.
Okay, address the point. You spend more time saying that I'm not addressing, that you don't have a chance to talk. The whole time you could have addressed the point and you could have talked. So go for it.
I just want you to know that you're not coming across as somebody who wants to actually have a conversation. So to get back to the claim, because I don't even know where you're at. You're now talking. You're saying that I said stuff in my podcast.
I'll go wherever you want to go. I'll go wherever you want to go.
So do you want to start with me working at home? Because I work at home. You just said something about me working at home.
You travel all around the world.
Okay,
you do speeches, and I love that. I love how ambitious you are. That's a really great trait. And if you were truly said that, you would be more fulfilled. Now, one thing you do find is women, they don't want to stay at home when you pull them. They just want flexible working hours and flexible working conditions like you have. And I think we should all advocate for that. It's not one or the other. But when you sit here and you go, you'll be more fulfilled doing this and spend all your time doing that, we would love for you to leave the public eye and go focus on what makes you fulfilled.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a horrible debate. I seen her debate before. She debates way better than she did now. She was just sitting there cutting her off. I don't even know what the argument was. She just looked like a dumbass, to be honest.
Magic Johnson is the greatest Laker of all time.
Oh man, that boy Skip. Okay, it's a crazy claim.
So, Kobe Bryant, 20 years with the same team. 18 All-Stars, 15 All-NBA, 12 All-Defense, MVP, 2 Finals MVPs, 5 championships. And even though he's done all of that, I think what makes him the greatest Laker of all time, it's different than what makes a player the greatest player of all time. Because like LeBron's not the greatest Heat player of all time, that's Dwayne Wade. So it's not just are you better, like are you greater, it's what you've done for that city and that franchise. And I would argue it, I love Magic, I grew up on Magic, but when you watch...
It feels like you grew up more on Kobe, right?
I'm older than I look, honestly, but Magic, when you saw him on the court, he was like the greatest showman, right? He's a performer, charisma, a smile, the flashiness, showtime, right? Kobe, when you saw him on the court, it was like watching your brother, you know, your sibling, or your uncle or something, your son, because he had this fully realized character arc. He was a rookie, he failed, you know, not drafted by the Lakers, but we got him, you know, early. And the air balls, you know, and then the rising to prominence, 2000.
He was just 18 years old, but go ahead.
Yeah. But 2000, taking over in the finals after Shaq got hurt, after Jalen Rose shadily sprained his ankle, and then he came back, and then, you know, he got him back with the 81 later. And then the championships, and then there was another, he went through kind of a villain arc.
He did.
You know, there was like Colorado.
There was Colorado.
All the down years.
Good,
and
like it.
If you're a fan, Kobe's with you that whole time. And I actually didn't like Kobe early on. I was mad when they started playing him over Eddie Jones, like early days. And you went through all of that, and Kobe just won you over. That's why there are more than 350 murals of Kobe in LA.
Okay, so you're making the case that Kobe is dearer to your heart than Magic was. He has a bigger place in your heart. And I'm making the case that Magic had greater impact consistently than Kobe had, because Magic was the driving force of the Showtime Lakers, and Kobe was not the driving force of the three-peat, right?
Sure. Well, let me address that real quick. Because you're going to the finals and you're talking about Shaq, but that's always with the team from the East, and the East had notoriously bad big men. Everyone knows in those years, the finals was the Western Conference Finals. Yeah, and in those series, Kobe was instrumental. You know, in 2002, Kobe and Shaq basically throughout the whole playoffs had equivalent points. Yeah, the same amount of points. And Shaq himself has admitted on, you know, various podcasts and different things, he was never the guy to take the last shot. I know you value that, right? Jordan's your guy. Kobe is the closest thing that we've ever seen to Jordan. And he was a guy who never shied away from the moment. He was a guy who always made the most of his opportunity when it was there.
I give you that.
And I don't think he gets enough credit for the second run that he made with Pau. That team wasn't, I mean, that's not an all-time team.
No.
You know, his supporting cast
But his breakthrough was
was
not against an all-time team, because remember, the Magic upset LeBron's Cavaliers to get to the finals, right?
I mean, I give you that, but you can only play the team that, you know, I think LeBron, maybe he's the one who didn't, they had the Nike commercials, you know, but
true.
LeBron didn't hold up his end.
He didn't hold up his end in the bargain.
I mean,
okay, so you're okay with Kobe pouting in a Game 7 at Phoenix against Raja Bell?
I'm not okay with it, but I mean, are you okay with 84, Tragic Johnson, where, you know, runs out the clock, throws the turnover?
Okay.
I mean,
he did, but he bounced right back the next year in 85, and he shoots a baby hook shot.
And Kobe bounced back the next year by going to the finals.
Okay, he did. After the pout.
After the pout, yeah.
Okay.
That's what, to me, those failures you're pointing at, every player has failures, except for maybe who's your GOAT. But every player has that. Magic has that. Kobe has that. I think in terms of LA and LA.
Okay, but if you look at Shaq's numbers in those 3 finals, and I give you that the big men, the Tim Duncans, were over on the other side of the bracket, right? But he goes 38, 17, and 2 in their first finals.
Damn.
33, 16, and 5, and 36, 12, and 4. Look at the assists. He's averaging 5 assists a game in the NBA Finals. Listen, those 3 years, and I've been doing this a long time. I was actually covering the Kareem Lakers pre-Magic out here in LA.
Let's get voted out real quick.
Okay.
real quick.
Nah, that boy Shaq, he was a dog. That boy was a dog.
Were any of those finals really competitive? Pacers, Sixers, and Nets. No, they weren't competitive. They dominated those teams.
Because
So Shaq,
you had the greatest offensive force I've ever seen, including Jordan, where he was unrefereeable at that point because I never knew whether it's offense or defense, on the foul.
I think Kobe could easily have had better numbers. He didn't have to. Shaq, those teams were not equipped to play against the Lakers. Credit Allen Iverson for getting the one game in 2001.
He was big. That was the greatest achievement of his career. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good job.
My next claim is that RFK Jr. is a public health threat.
How you doing, sir?
Hello.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you.
So I just want to say there haven't been a lot of people in public health advocating for natural remedies or even talking about working out, talking about getting the fluoride out of the water, talking about getting the chemicals out of the food. So how could you say this when most of the problems that are facing this country, cancer, diabetes, heart disease, are really coming from all of these forever chemicals that are, yes, on clothes, but that even should be regulated as well. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I think that everything RFK Jr. says is not necessarily wrong. The best analogy I can think of is if I have a clock that's broken, it's still right sometimes, but it doesn't mean I'm going to wear it and call it a good clock.
I love that. Have you been wrong before in your life?
Absolutely.
In your practice as a doctor? I've been wrong as well. And what I will say is all of us have the ability to atone. All of us have the ability to know new information. Yeah. And just like I hope that we can be able to trade information and look on the other side of the aisle and say, you know what, there are people who care about people. Yeah. And I want you to realize that that's what you're surrounded by right now. We're not only talking about ourselves in terms of our own well-being and saying this is my choice, but also saying there's a big issue in this country as it pertains to the children. We could just look at the children, and even if we talk about, once again, the vaccine aspect of COVID and how COVID wasn't affecting children, but yet all of these other issues are, and they got to grow up in this world. Also, the idea for me that we have all of the testing and all of the evidence for COVID is also false. So when people are skeptical and people are like, people say the disinformation doesn't, I say the divine information doesn't, because they were kind of prophets when you look at it. If you look back at their old claims, a lot of things that they said came true. Even when we look at all of the things that Fauci was involved in, gain of function research, everything going on in that Wuhan lab in China, there's a lot of things that we can say. So I would hope that based off of this conversation, you could at least have a little bit of heart to say, you know what, maybe RFK is not just thinking about his career, but he's actually thinking about people. And I think all medical doctors should do the same.
Yeah, I think everyone in this room has been very charitable in speaking with me, and I actually really appreciate it. I'm here volunteering my time to try and just share what I've learned, my experience, my knowledge, what I would do if I was facing a dilemma with vaccinating my future child. And my goal is just to share the most accurate information, because when I started in healthcare and I was a resident and I was in my training, the amount of negative things people were doing to their health, like a lot of the metabolic things that you've discussed, like the lifestyle choices, were largely due to other people misinforming them or making miracle promises.
Like almost like doctors saying cigarette smoke is actually good for you?
Exactly. In fact, everything that we're doing in healthcare right now, like 50% of it over the next 100 years will be found to be ineffective, or there's going to be something better.
And we'll go back to nature, right?
And some of it will go back to nature. Like, going back to nature sounds really good, but there's also a little bit of a fallacy in that. So like in nature, people walk barefoot, but we don't choose to walk barefoot because we don't want to get tetanus infection from the floor and get cuts on our feet.
There is a fallacy about that. It's called the. Is it just called the nature fallacy? Somebody comment down below. It's called the nature fallacy or something like that. Just because it's natural for something or somebody to do something doesn't mean that it's good. For example, just because it's natural for a snake to bite somebody and give that thing venom, it don't mean that it's good. You see what I'm saying? It's natural, but it doesn't mean that it's good, right? So that's what bro trying to say, you know what I'm saying? And I'm loving this other dude too. This guy's actually giving me some insight. I don't know too much about public health and stuff like that, guys. So comment down below and let me know how you guys feel on RFK Jr. and how he's doing and stuff like that, because I'm trying to learn more.
Of these chemical-induced floors that we're putting, all of these bleaches, these things that are
exactly forever chemicals in our watch bands.
But grounding is a thing. Earthing is a thing that has proven to help with.
So how do we balance a healthy lifestyle of being outdoors with modern science? Is where we.
I think we can do it, right?
Yeah.
Because allopathic medicine did rule out. Once again, I think I brought up the flexible.
I'm not
report,
an allopathic physician.
Right.
How wild is that? I'm an osteopathic physician. So I think more of the holistic approach than a traditional allopathic physician would. I did not go to an allopathic medical school, and I am very passionate about one thing that I feel like is lost in modern healthcare: the body's ability to heal itself.
Yes. Amen.
And I think that sometimes we envision so much more control than what we actually have. Like, for example, do you think wearing a seatbelt saves lives?
It can, yeah, for sure.
Has it ever saved yours?
No.
Have you worn it all the time or majority of the time?
I have not worn it all the time,
but
majority
I could see. You regularly wear it.
Yeah, for sure.
Does that mean it was stupid to have done so?
No, not at all. But I think the
That's
seatbelt
how
is not risking my life as a vaccine would be risking
So there's
my
some
life, right?
people that believe, like anti-vaxxers believe vaccines are harmful without great evidence, that seatbelts can cause you to get trapped and et cetera, and actually cause more problems.
You're saying anti-vaxxers believe that?
No, I'm saying like anti-vaxxers believe negative beliefs about vaccines that are not well proven. Some people say that about seatbelts. Some people say that the world is not round and they believe it to be flat.
Now, can you compare vaccines?
So, like, guys, let me know how effective is these vaccines? That's my question. You know what I'm saying? Like, are they really helping people? Are they hurting people? With the COVID thing, I heard at first it was like supposed to be good, but then I heard that, a lot of people was just like the COVID thing wasn't as bad. So these are things I'm trying to understand more, and hopefully this guy can fact check some of what the questions I'm asking.
Some people say that the world is not round and they believe it to be flat.
Now, can you compare vaccine skepticism with really seatbelt skepticism? Like, do you think that really weighs, especially when people have been injured from vaccines? This is a real thing that
people have been injured by seatbelts.
I understand. So I'm going to give somebody else a time, but my claim is pretty much that RFK is standing up for a lot of different things that are going on in this country right now that are causing more damage than COVID.
I would love for someone else to stand up for those things as opposed to RFK.
I think
but we
you
agree
as well, right?
Yeah.
That was a good discussion, guys. Listen, that was a good discussion, guys. You know what I'm saying? Me trying to understand these vaccines and stuff like that. I just heard that it was supposed to be more of like the vaccine gives your body a protein and it helps you be less likely to actually die from it. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that sounds like that part is good. You know what I'm saying? But if it's actually causing more harm than good, then that's what actually has to be investigated.
For those things as opposed to RFK.
I think
but we
you
agree
as well,
with
right?
Yeah.
My next claim is that black on black crime is a result of underinvestment and over-policing.
Is this about to be the nuclear dude? Oh no, I like this guy.
So you say that black on black crime is due to underfunding.
Hold on, is nuclear come? Oh man, where's the nuclear dude? Oh man, I don't know if the nuclear guy's coming in. Yeah, I don't know. I like the nuclear guy.
My next claim is that black on black crime is a result of underinvestment and over-policing.
So you say that black on black crime is due to underfunding and over-policing, essentially. Yes. I actually don't necessarily disagree with one of those. Okay. I think that, however, the government, who do you think should be responsible for the funding piece of the black community? Should that be something that the government should step into, or should that be something that we as black people need to handle ourselves? Dr. Jordan Peterson and even Thomas Sowell and several others have stated one thing, that poverty and crime, there's a positive correlation. There's also a positive correlation in the black community of absentee fatherism being one of the root causes leading into criminality. Black males that grow up without a father are 10 times more likely to engage in criminal activity. And so I think one of the...
Can I put a pin right there and ask you a question?
It's true. Like.
What is the root cause of there being less fathers present?
Bad decision making on the part of the fathers. We live in a patriarchal system. like it or not.
I mean, he's right. If you go back to Herbert Gutman's book, he talks about how after slavery, most black people grew up in two-parent households. And then, like bro said, if you go to Thomas Sowell's work, Thomas Sowell shows that most black kids grew up in two-parent households in the 1950s. Then after the 1960s, most black kids grew up in, single-parent homes. And then you can see that the crime rate goes up. So that's this guy's argument.
Fathers present.
Bad decision making on the part of the fathers. We live in a patriarchal system, like it or not. Men have dominated the socioeconomic, economic, and political power of this country and the world since our existence. So our bad decision making, especially when we focus on the black community, is the root cause of fatherlessness.
What type of decisions?
Not marrying the women we decide to lay down and have children with. Not being careful with the seeds that we plant in women. No woman can get pregnant without a man planting his seed inside of her. So therefore...
So it's marriage.
Well, that's a part of it. That's marriage is a part of it.
Okay.
But the true piece that I'm looking at is connectedness between familial units. The black community was at its economically strongest while being at its poorest during the segregation era. Prior to 1968, Dr. Martin Luther King in his last speech said that we have an annual income of more than $30 billion a year, which is more than all of the exports of Canada and more than all of the exports of the United States and more than the national budget of Canada. That was when we were economic.
Bro, that's funny as hell. This dude, literally, he started off with the Martin Luther King voice and then he changed back to his voice. That was great.
We have an annual income of more than $30 billion a year, which is more than all of the exports of Canada and more than all of the exports of the United States and more than the national budget of Canada. That was when we were economically at our poorest. Yet 85% of our black children were growing up with a father in the home. There was less black on black crime. There was less disenfranchisement.
Why was there less black on black crime?
Because we needed to live together. We had to stick by each other. We had to stick
What
by
was
each
there
other.
also less of?
I'm not sure where you're leading. That's a leading question. I don't like those.
You don't like this?
I don't like leading questions, no. I like direct stuff.
So essentially, when we were living in our own communities, we were also policing our own communities. So we were not being used as statistics in the same way to determine how resources were provided to our own communities. When we were going to the government saying, hey, we deserve because we are supposed to be separate but equal, we weren't saying, hey, we want to be with y'all. We were essentially saying, we want what you are stating we deserve. And that is what all of the efforts of the civil rights movement has been. It's literally just been to say, you said when we got out of the Civil War that we would be considered citizens, and all citizens should be getting equal access to these things. However, you are actively allowing the Klan to harm us. You are actively allowing...
Who's killed more black people, the Klan or...
I don't think she actually addressed what he was talking about with fatherlessness, though.
The Klan to harm us. You are actively allowing...
Who's killed more black people, the Klan or us?
I would like to continue my statement. I let you speak uninterrupted.
You did.
When we talk about this concept of who is harming us, we are really making a false claim when it comes to black on black crime, as if there isn't white on white crime. There's also this unnecessary effort.
Every time somebody's talking about black on black crime, somebody always has to bring up white on white crime. You got to stay on subject. Nobody's saying that there's no white on white crime. There's plenty white on white crime, but you got to address the black on black crime as well. We don't want any crime from either race.
On black crime, as if there isn't white on white crime. There's also this unnecessary effort to try and pathologize black on black crime in a way that you don't try to pathologize white on white crime. There are white people killing each other every single day. Now, they may be on jet skis in the pictures after they shoot up their whole family, but nonetheless, there are white people killing each other every single day. Now, much of the reason why you may see more numbers in terms of black on black crime are for two reasons. One, the statistics be lying all the time. We have seen this.
Statistics lying. Oh, that's not a justification, bro.
More numbers in terms of black on black crime are for two reasons. One, the statistics be lying all the time. We have seen this.
Numbers? Okay, when you
we
say
have seen
that,
this in a real way. So in New Jersey.
When you say
in New Jersey,
what numbers can be trusted? Because with the previous speaker, you said
I'm about to tell you right now.
Okay, so your sources can
you
be trusted.
can't such number. No, I'm literally about to give you an example of numbers not being able to be trusted.
Okay, talk to me.
That's what I was doing.
I'm listening.
Okay, then listen.
Oh, my ears open.
So listen. In New Jersey, they had a statistic that was created by the police department that said, look at how many black people are committing crimes. Look at how crazy this number is. These black people are so exorbitantly violent. Look at this. And then people went and actually matched the names that they were booking with the faces of the actual people incarcerated. Okay. And it was proven that they were lying.
So that's one. So that's one instance.
That's
Hold on.
one
No. You're
example.
talking to somebody that works as a police dispatcher when I'm not making content. So here's the thing.
I see.
No. You see what?
Well,
The truth is, you're about to see the truth if you just give me a second. Like Trump said, just give me a second. I'm going to do the weave, but give me a minute.
Well, here's what you all keep doing. You keep
give me-
interrupting me when I'm talking, and you don't want to hear the
But
point
the
that I'm
point
going to
you're-
make.
the point that
And
you're
yet you want
raising-
me to respect your point. And that's not how a debate works. So if you want me to keep getting louder, I will do it. But ultimately, if I show you respect, give me the respect back. I let you talk. I let you make your points. I am countering your points. And my points are just as valid as yours, even though you got a pocket square and a Church of Christ pin on your chest.
It's not a Church
She
of Christ.
hollering.
Whatever. It's a cross. Same difference. You got an American flag and you think you know something because you a cop. And ultimately,
Not a cop. This
and
is
ultimately
different.
it's ACAB all day over here. So let me make that clear. But let me also add to my point. My point is that you can sit here and blame black people on black people all day long and not acknowledge that we are forced into. You're coming to interrupt me again.
I haven't even said a word.
All right, that is flagged. So
She
I'm asking you to
started
return to
hollering on my
It's a waste of my
mans.
time. Y'all just want
Why
to be
she
seen.
was hollering on
I
my
don't
bro
need to be
suit,
seen.
The
bro?
first claim is Trump's attack on DEI hides his real goal, which is to give corporations more power.
Hi.
Hey,
How are you?
good. How you doing?
Okay, when it comes to DEI, essentially, if a person was not racist, he would hire someone regardless, right? So why would we need a policy to protect a person if we've moved past racism? So would you consider yourself racist?
Wait, are you suggesting we've
Would
moved
you-
past racism?
Bro, he said,
Would you consider yourself racist?
I consider myself.
would you consider yourself racist? What?
Sometimes I practice.
So would you consider yourself racist?
Wait, are you suggesting we've moved past racism?
Would you consider yourself racist?
I consider myself, and sometimes I practice, I think we all practice like some form of, white supremacy. I think actually like we all do to some degree.
Well, I'm glad that you're saying that. So I guess going to the LGBT topic, it seems like it's very prevalent for you as an issue.
Well, it seems like a big issue. I mean, the Republican Party spent literally hundreds of millions of dollars demonizing trans people.
Well, the reason why they've done something like that, and I think you're misconstruing the narrative, they haven't demonized them. They simply want protections back for their own children, because children are being stripped away from
Who's
their
their
parents.
own children? Wait,
Parents?
children are being stripped away from their parents?
Yes, due to AB 954, they've now included gender identity as a premise to remove and strip parental rights for children who maybe they are rejecting their gender ideology.
So, but you'd be okay with parents who agree with their children's doctors to provide gender-affirming care?
I do not agree with that. Do you?
I believe that parents and doctors can make those decisions with the kids.
If a child can't smoke, drink, or have sex before the age of 18, they should not be able to consent to a sex change. Now, in terms of a DEI initiative,
I agree with my bro right here, man. If they can't smoke, drink, and all, why are you guys giving these kids puberty blockers, bro? Like, their prefrontal cortex not even fully developed yet. Like, at least wait until they I think 25, you know what I'm saying? Or at least 21 or something, bro. Don't get us stuff to no kids, bro.
in terms of a DEI initiative, the reason why there's military bans on trans women and trans men is because they do not have the ability to cooperate at a mental capacity when they're constantly undergoing hormone treatment, as well as depression pills, as well as different mood stabilizer pills. And so when you go out to combat, do you really think you're gonna bring an ice cooler pack with your whether that be hormone estrogen or whatever it may be, while you're about to shoot someone of the opposing war?
Well, the executive orders that Trump gave were DEIA orders that had to do with agencies that have nothing to do with the military.
Yes, they do. Yes, they absolutely do.
The FDA, they just revoked the ability of the Air Force to teach Air Force members about the Tuskegee Airmen.
Well, we're not-
What are we talking about here?
Okay, well,
Honestly, like they're rewriting history.
Well, that's your perspective, right? But at the end of the day, if a person...
Tuskegee Airmen, we can all agree, existed, right?
Just listen to this. If you were racist, right, and you were an employer, and if you wanted to absolutely be racist and exercise that, you would. I think DEI sort of prevents people from seeing the reality. If a person truly wanted to hire you based on your intellect, based on your skill set, they would. DEI essentially provides tax cuts. For the end of the year, when you create your tax returns, they give you a tax credit for hiring someone who is black or a person of color.
Whoa!
I don't know if you knew.
Somebody fact check this dude, bro. I swear I just had a debate on DEI, but I didn't know that. Somebody fact check bro in the comments, because giving tax cuts to hire like a minority, that doesn't even make sense, bro. Like, we gotta base things off of like competency. We understand that they're like, you know, minorities was disadvantaged, right? But if we base everything off of, you know, the metaphysical principle of like competency, then, you know, we'll be good. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we'll be good. You know, if everybody says, oh, like, fuck this dude's race, fuck this dude's gender, all that bullshit, whoever's the best gets the job, shoot, like, then we'll be good and we'll be a stronger nation if we did so.
In these agencies?
In agencies and private
In government
businesses.
agencies, they don't get tax cuts for hiring people
And
of
the other
color.
thing I
This
wanted
is
to,
to
and I,
protect
the other
people
thing I
from
want to
discrimination.
the other thing I want to kind of state here is that I've realized that a lot of the times with the liberals is that you guys push for example, for DEI and people of Latino or Hispanic descent. And a lot of the times what you don't realize is you're actually doing more harm than good by putting them in positions where you make them believe that it's based on the color of their skin. It's based on...
DEIA does not, is not
It's based on merit. DEI emphasizes color, skin color,
no,
physical
it
attributes.
says that the people who work in your agency, it's about anti-discrimination.
Discrimination against what?
Against people who may have different cultural mores, may have different...
But that's irrelevant to a job, right? It should be based on merit. And that is the emphasis
People
here.
get hired as a merit, but if the
Not if you get a tax
I'm talking about Trump's rescission of these orders
If you received a
on
tax
these
cut
agencies.
as an employer, wouldn't you hire a person of color?
Dude,
if you could pay them less?
Listen.
Yeah, bro is just saying that since the employer receives tax cuts, that is an incentive for them to be like, oh yeah, like, forget that, let me hurry up and just grab a bunch of minorities, you know what I'm saying? Like, so, but definitely somebody fact check that.
We're talking about government agencies that do not get tax cuts. Government agencies...
They don't.
No.
Yes, they do. They absolutely do.
I'm talking about
every private and public sector gets tax cuts when you hire a person of color.
Government agencies don't pay taxes. Government agencies are funded by the government.
That is not true. That is not true. And you know what? I think the whole juxtapose of this entire conversation...
What month is this?
Why didn't Jubilee fact check
that? January.
Okay, so we can agree on that. The FDA does not pay taxes. It does not get a tax cut because it doesn't pay taxes. DEIA forces them as an agency to say, if you have a job opening, you must do your best efforts to make sure that every
I like that.
part
I love
of
me a
society...
buzzword. You must do your best effort. I love that buzzword.
Okay, pause.
Because you feel like you have to. You're pressured to.
Yes.
You shouldn't be pressured to hire someone based on skin color.
No, not to hire someone on skin color, but put up notice about that the job exists. Make sure that you put it in different communities so that you have as wide an application pool as possible.
And therefore you get
All
tax
right.
cuts.
All right, return to
At
your
the
seat.
end of the year when you file taxes, you get a tax cut for hiring someone who speaks
Please
a different
return to your
language or
seat.
different skin color.
I don't know how to respond to that.
All right, my first claim is QAnon is a baseless conspiracy theory. There's no
QAnon. There's no evidence of a global cabal of Satan worshiping and child. What is Cananon? What is that? I'm not a conspiracy, guys. I'm not a conspiracy guy at all. I don't know what that is.
All right, my first claim is QAnon is a baseless conspiracy theory. There's no evidence of a global cabal of Satan-worshipping, child trafficking elites that control everything.
I'm quicker than I look.
man. Thanks for coming. I appreciate it.
My pleasure, man.
Yeah, man.
I'm a little quicker than I look.
Yeah.
So my issue is with the claim in and of itself, right? The fact that QAnon may be baseless then means that there is no child trafficking ring going on. That's akin to saying that the Easter Bunny is not real. Therefore, there was no conspiracy to hide Biden mental decline.
Before we proceed, there's definitely horrible child sex trafficking rings that exist in the U.S. I just think that pedophilia is a pervasive problem among all crests of society. I just think that the rich have an easier time covering it up because they can pay for lawyers and they have money to keep people quiet.
That in and of itself is a conspiracy that you just described.
Well, then I'm a conspiracy theorist, I guess.
conspiracy.
You know, I just don't think it's limited specifically to an unnamed anonymous class of baby-eating elites.
Well, let's say the NGOs that are unnamed, right? We have humans being trafficked in migrant camps going all across Mexico. Somebody pays for that, whether it's NGOs, whether it's the UN.
Yeah.
We have pedophile rings that we know have been exposed throughout the Catholic Church. It's hard to get more elite than the Vatican. Right. Then you have people that are hiding, obviously, what's going on with Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell. So the idea that because we don't know who the tip of the spear is, or that the Cobra hasn't shown its head, means that there's no cabal behind the scenes. Somebody is coordinating this. Now, let me put it this way. I wish that there was as much scrutiny being applied to the evidence that we have and that we've presented than there is to the conspiracy theorists that are presenting the evidence, right?
Definitely.
Like, a conspiracy theorist to me is a derogatory claim for people that don't trust establishment narrative, right? But the establishment has done everything they possibly can do to discredit themselves.
And I think that the establishment had a hand in creating QAnon. I think it's the sole biggest driving force and making all...
Careful, Andrew. That sounds like a conspiracy theory.
I'm just saying, it's like...
Hey, is QAnon like Skull and Bones? Or the Illuminati? What is QAnon? Like, is there more evidence for QAnon than Skull and Bones and the Illuminati? Like...
Think about this, right? Like, we know with the Epstein stuff, there were underage sex trafficking rings that existed, right? Now, think about this logical digression from that, and they're eating babies to get adrenochrome so they can be immortal. So think about how different those things are.
And that's
be immortal.
So that's disproving the existence of one by continuing to. It's what we call searching for the falsehood, right? So something can't be true because 3 steps down the line something is untrue.
I think
that
the first
doesn't
thing
mean
is
the
true.
first thing is true.
Yeah.
We can agree that there are children being trafficked.
Yes.
We can agree that it seems to be some sort of systemic, industrialized component to this child trafficking, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. So then somebody has to pay for that. Somebody has to organize that.
Yeah.
Somebody with means, somebody that could be, I don't know, classified as an elite.
Yeah.
And that could be an elite child conspiracy, right? To traffic children.
Could be a cartel middleman with a bunch of money, man.
And listen, what I would say is this. What people that trust establishment, not that you're one of them, what I wish that they understood is that we agree with them in that I hope I'm wrong.
Right.
Like, the establishment wants me to be wrong, and I want me to be wrong. I don't want there to be children being trafficked.
Right.
And I don't want our government, our taxpayer dollars, having anything to do with it. But I think that a conspiracy theorist used to be called an investigative journalist. We have questions. And I think that those questions deserve to be answered. And I think that that's the issue here. When people say, no, there's no list, stop asking questions, move on, well, then we feel like we should ask some more questions.
Yeah, and I feel like that's got to be less than 10% of the population who says there's no list, let's move on.
Yeah, they
I think
happen all to be in
right
charge,
now
though.
is probably the first time where you see like leftists and conservatives coming together to demand accountability from the government.
No doubt about it.
And I think that QAnon was probably a psyop in of itself by Steve Bannon, Miles Kuo, a variety of strange actors that work with the Watkins family and 8chan to basically discredit people from actually putting the target where it should have been, which is right in front of our faces. The richest people in the world, most of them you can look their name up.
QAnon is a debunked conspiracy theory that Donald Trump was secretly fighting a cabal of satanic, cannibalistic pedophiles. Oh, so it's a debunked.
Not saying there isn't people who are just
conspiracy theory.
random rich financiers that are anonymous, but we can see, you can look at companies like BlackRock, Vanguard. You can look up online. We all have iPhones, right?
Yeah.
Apple, these major social media platforms have CEOs. The Saudis, the richest people in the world are operating in plain sight. And so I feel like when you aim the target at this unnamed, mysterious cabal of people eating babies in the hills, you're basically creating a thing that doesn't exist to convince people to look in the wrong
But
direction.
who is doing that, right? Like you said, we can look up the richest people in the world, but we're everyday people.
Yeah.
We have jobs, we have things that we're supposed to be focusing on that are outside the realm of information finding. We don't have the time to go through all of the different NGOs that these people have created to hide themselves from this.
Right.
This is the job of journalists. This is the job of our media. Unfortunately, our media has been captured by these same elites that you're talking about, not to bring up another conspiracy theory here, right? But this is what used to be the fourth estate, right? We used to be able to trust journalists to get to the bottom of it so that we, the plumber, didn't have to spend our weekends digging through tax files to be like, oh my God, did George Soros really get $270 million from USAID?
Yeah.
That's not what we planned on doing, right? This was your job. But now the conspiracy theory is anybody that doesn't trust the establishment narrative. They have made us distrust our neighbor and trust the government. They have made us look at each other from a veil of the citizen doesn't have privacy, but the government deserves privacy. This is a matter of national security.
Right.
Well, if it's a matter of national security that we can't know who was selling children, then I think they've answered the question.
I think
Who's
that
selling?
I think the Epstein thing is probably like the biggest potential breakthrough into dismantling some of those blackmail networks that have kept so much of the media and government compliant. But the thing is, whenever people stop trusting the mainstream narrative, which overall I think is a good thing, it makes way for an entire vacuum.
Give me real quick. Sorry to cut you off. Which is a good thing? Distrusting the mainstream narrative or trusting
when
it?
people stop trusting the mainstream narrative and do their own research, generally that's a good thing. However, that creates a vacuum where people who are even less reliable can fill the void with just different stuff.
But that's okay though, because information is cleansing. Sunlight is cleansing. But best part about the conspiracy community, and I didn't start as a conspiracy theorist. I'm a guy that trusts the government. USA, baby. But as you pull at these threads, you start realizing the government has lied to us over and over and over again. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Good job,
Man, when people start talking about conspiracy
My next claim
theories,
is
it's
that
like,
God commands genocide in the Bible.
like, bro, I don't even want to even hear about
Hello.
it.
Hi, Alex. Nice to meet you. So you pointed at
Man,
several
that boy
passages, but the
Alex.
prophets-
Now this boy Alex, he nice, bro. Like he's one of them dudes you just don't want to debate, cause he's actually always good faith, but at the same time, it's like you just gotta be well read on the topic, bro. You gotta know your shit before you even take that debate, cause he's gonna put you in that hot seat, bro. Like for real.
My next claim is that God commands genocide in the Bible. Hello.
Hi, Alex. Nice to meet you. So you pointed at several passages, but the prophets through and through condemn Israel in much harsher terms. And in fact, God dispersed them in much greater judgments because they were, and in fact, in Ezekiel it says that because you were supposed to be the light of the world, you are judged all the more strictly and are more responsible. So God was just with Israel, and in fact, he placed more of a burden and a mantle and a responsibility on them and judged them for it than he did the nations. And case in point, what's already brought up was the number of generations that passed before the Amalekites were judged and the Canaanites were judged.
Yeah.
But we can come back to that point.
Okay, but can I ask you then?
Yes.
How do you define genocide?
Right.
Good question.
If I may, I actually have a question I wanted to ask you first.
I think it's important to know what we're talking about.
I
here,
understand.
Right? What is a genocide?
Based on the word genome, obviously etymologically, we understand that you're taking it as a tribal seed line, which is fair. I
Yeah, it could be
understand that.
tribe,
Sure.
religion,
Sure.
ethnicity,
So I can
race.
understand
And we're
that.
talking about the destruction or attempted destruction
But here's the
or,
problem.
or
Here's the problem.
expulsion
Right.
of people based on those characteristics.
So here's the problem. Genocide, the way it's, especially the way it's used today, it implies that it's based on the race. And that is categorically against the command of God to conquer the Canaanites. It had nothing to do with their race. It had to do with their sin. And in fact, this is...
So you know that when...
Well, that's a good argument. He's just gonna have to justify that, you know.
With their sin. And in fact, this is...
So you know that when Amalek is attacked...
Right.
Israel first warns another tribe that they're coming.
Yes.
And says, get out of here, because you were good to us when we came out of Egypt.
Right.
Amalek battled them when they came out of Egypt.
Yes.
He says to this other tribe, You guys get out of here. They warn them, right?
Right.
They don't say, hey, you get to stay here. They say, you've got to go, but we're going to warn you first that we don't totally destroy you.
That's right.
In other words, it does seem to be, I mean, why is it that Israel are going into this land? The nation, why are they going into this land? Because it was the land promised to them by God. Why does it need to be cleansed? Because there are people in that land
Deuteronomy
who
chapter
aren't
7.
supposed to be there.
Deuteronomy chapter 7, chapter 9, he says, do not think that it is because of your righteousness or because of anything that has to do with you that I brought you into this land, but it was because of the sins of the nations that I gave it to you. This is Deuteronomy chapter 9. So it's not because he promised them based on some sort of ethnic requisite. In fact, the whole premise behind the destruction was the prototype of Sodom and Gomorrah.
So then a question which I think
deuterotype, because Noah was
a question which I think I know the answer to. Then, do you think there was not one sort of good person?
No, exactly, and that's the point.
Right. And if that's the case,
that's why I brought up Sodom.
Let me ask you a second question.
Well, hold on. Let me answer your question a little bit more fully.
Were there any good people in Israel, in the nation of Israel?
Right. So let me answer your question.
Because if the answer is that there were bad people in Israel too,
so this goes back
why
to
is it that they don't get killed as well?
The slaughter of the children.
If it's not about nation,
the slaughter of the children has the same problem because it has to do with innocence. Okay. So let me address that problem.
Nobody's innocent, but my specific question is.
No, but you're saying the children in the land of Canaan are innocent and they're being slaughtered.
No, I'm not. That's not what I'm saying right now.
You said that
what
earlier.
I'm saying is that I retracted the word innocent because I know it can be a bit tricky. But what I'm saying specifically here is that if the reason why Canaan is destroyed is because they're immoral, there's all kinds of immorality happening within the Israelite nation. Hold on.
Yes.
Happening within the Israelite nation as well. If it's not about nation, if it's not about tribe, then why is it that Israel aren't told to kill the immoral people in their tribe, but only people in the other tribe?
No, they are. And in fact, that's what they do. And in fact, that entire generation.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they do. Like throughout the Old Testament, there's multiple times where God will command murder against their own people, so against the people of Israel. So I don't know what he's trying to argue. Like, it's like he's it's kind of like he's cherry picking. You know what I'm saying? He's cherry picking.
Only people in the other.
No, they are. And in fact, that's what they do. And in fact, that entire generation that was promised the promised land died out without seeing the promised land because of their sin.
But not at the hands of the Israelites.
Okay, fine.
Right. But the Israelites are not told to expunge their own nation of the sin of people by killing
Oh,
them.
because he's trying to say more of a genocide. But it was like when God commands certain things, he'll command it in terms of like individuals, like
and killing their animals.
Sure. Let me give you a thought. Yeah,
Tough
perfect.
argument.
I'll give you a thought experiment. Let's suppose that tomorrow we find out that the pedophilia rings, that conspiracy theory is somehow true. Like, just imagine, like, V for Vendetta style. Like, imagine, like, hackers just broadcast everything that was going on, all the blackmail tapes, the Diddy files, the Epstein, whatever. Okay, you get the point. So you have this sudden revelation of this grand conspiracy, and it's on a scale that no one ever imagined. Okay, would you say that there is justice in bringing those people? Obviously, no one would disagree. In fact, the public opinion on execution might change at that point, and even the guillotine might come back. Who knows?
Right. But I wouldn't kill their children.
No, right. Okay, so I'm getting there now. So we'll get there step by step. Let's start with the men and the women. So let's suppose in this example, the conspiracy theory is true, and everybody finds out, and then everybody agrees that the men and the women that were involved in this pedophilia ring, let's say, need to be judged. Okay, someone has to do it. We have no problem executing them. We have the benefit of technology that gives us a bit of indirectness. But if you didn't have that, you would have to either do it yourself or have your executioner do it.
We're talking here about military execution of non-combatants, which is a war crime.
Right. So no, it's a war crime according to, But let me,
But
besides.
You've been voted out by the majority.
My final claim is that Donald Trump's plan for Gaza is ethnic cleansing.
Let's see, man.
Oh, wow. Great.
Hello, sir.
We got two more.
We
got two more, guys.
All right, so I agree that Trump wants to do a cleansing, but not an ethnic one, because that area requires a lot of cleansing. Because when you have a population that was taught...
Wait, he's saying Donald Trump's plan for Gaza is an ethnic cleansing. Like, what does that even mean? Like, he's trying to say that it's based off of, like, race? He's trying to eliminate, like, people of a certain race? What?
Because that area requires a lot to do a...
Hello, sir. Welcome back.
See you again, Mehdi. All right, so I agree that Trump wants to do a cleansing, but not an ethnic one. Because that area requires a lot of cleansing. Because when you have a population that was taught from early childhood age to hate Jews, Christians, and pagans, you need some serious re-education.
Number one, that's not true. And number two, that's not what he's proposing.
Well, I mean, most Palestinians, by polling number, do support Hamas.
They support resisting Israel.
Well, I mean, the thing is, what did they do in the first place? that they're in this what you call open air prison.
Great question. What did they do to deserve being occupied?
Well, here's the thing, because the Islamic Republic in Iran is using them as a tool.
What has Iran got to do with this?
As a tool for their Islamic expansion.
When did the Islamic...
Because they don't...
Hold on. When did the Islamic Republic of Iran... You're Iranian American,
Yes.
I believe.
Yes, I am.
When was the Islamic Republic of Iran founded?
1979.
When was Gaza occupied by Israel?
19... Well, the very first
67.
time... 67, yes.
So, can we do the maths together? 12 years before the Islamic Republic of Iran existed, Israel was oppressing, occupying, dispossessing the people of Gaza. So your argument makes no sense.
And were there any terrorist organizations at the time?
The PLO was considered a terrorist organization by the entire Western world.
All right, so was Hamas there?
Hamas did not exist till the 1980s.
Exactly. My point is, after the Islamic Republic came, it became chaotic because the Islamic Republic started to use what's the so-called innocent Palestinians for their own
so-called innocent Palestinians? You don't think Palestinians are innocent?
Not all of them.
But what about the 17,000 children who were killed?
They're doing the
17,000 children were killed. Were they not innocent?
Were
they not innocent?
Who's responsible for that?
Israel, who dropped the bombs on
Hamas
them.
is responsible. Hamas is responsible for hiding in hospitals and making tunnels underneath those hospitals.
So when children are shot in the head by Israeli snipers not responsible for that?
Look,
it's a simple question.
Here's the problem.
When Israeli snipers shoot Palestinian children in Gaza in the head, as eyewitness testimony and doctors' testimony proves, that's not the fault of the Israeli snipers.
This is the problem, because when you have
the problem is you won't answer the question. I'll ask you a third time. When Israeli snipers shoot Palestinian children in the head, is that not the fault of Israeli snipers?
One.
Well, you gotta let me finish.
No, you gotta answer the question. Fourth time.
Well,
when Israeli snipers,
I wonder how many people, like, how many Israel soldiers are doing that, bro? Because there are a lot of children being killed in Gaza. I mean, that's a fact. You know what I'm saying? I heard around, I don't know, I heard around like 20,000, but is it more than that? Because I'm hearing like numbers like 100,000 people. But in terms of children alone, I wonder how many that is. You know what I'm saying? Maybe 20,000, 10,000, 30,000.
Palestinian children in the head. We're running out of time. I need to know what you think about innocent children. Because what you said was pretty outrageous. You said so-called innocent Palestinians. For the fifth time, when Palestinian children are shot in the head by Israeli snipers, is that not the fault of Israeli snipers?
What did those children do?
What did they do? Tell me, did the children deserve to be shot in the head?
Because the problem is,
over there, millions of people are watching you say
they start
brainwashing
children. They start brainwashing children at a very young age.
So you support sniping children in Gaza?
Look,
do other people here support sniping children in Gaza? Is that a conservative position now?
What if they're wearing a suicide vest?
They weren't.
But what if they are?
They're not, though.
What if
of children. I have friends who went there, doctors went to Gaza, American doctors. They came back as we had multiple children.
What if they're
hell-bent?
What if they're hell-bent on killing you and your family?
A 10-year-old child, an 8-year-old child, a 6-year-old child.
Because
this is
like
bad
you said,
for you.
Like
You're
said,
sitting on
they're
live
brainwashing
television where millions of people are going to see your neighbors, your friends. You support the killing of children.
Millions of people don't know what's going on.
Even your fellow right-wingers are saying, don't go this far. White genocide, sure, but don't advocate
millions of
killing
people
kids.
don't understand the brainwashing that is going on in Islamic Republic and in Palestine to create
You're
this hatred.
You're obsessed with Iran so much that you're supporting the killing of Palestinian children who never harmed you or any other Israeli. That's insane.
Look.
And the fact that you support Trump's ethnic cleansing now doesn't surprise me.
I didn't say ethnic cleansing. I said cleansing of the land.
All right, pause.
Because you need to cleanse the land
from
all the
Slobodan Milosevic said similar stuff.
You've been voted out. Please return to your seat.
My first claim, ending death should be humanity's #1 objective.
Ending death should be humanity's #1 objective. This is the last one, guys. Ending death. So what is this guy talking about? Who is this? Like, is he talking about like immortality? Who is this?
Hi, Brian. My name is Chelsea Godds, and I sit across from you today. I think I'm going to say the thing that a lot of people in this circle are thinking. It's easy when you're rich to care about not dying. Most people spend all day, every day, also caring about not dying because they're living paycheck to paycheck. 60% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. Being poor is the story of humanity across the whole globe. I think listening to a man who doesn't know what it's like, how he's gonna make rent next month, that to some of us, it feels pretty strange to hear you tell us that we're not focused on being alive. I think every person here is struggling to be alive every single day. I think most people in this country are struggling to be alive every single day. And when they smoke a cigarette, it's not about whether they want to die. It's about enjoying that moment. I'm talking to a man.
Bro, what is she arguing, bro? And why is she like, she's like,
who publicly has said that you eat pureed food every day. And you're telling me, a normal human being who is like everyone else, struggling financially and whatnot, how I should be living my life. And I think there's something that's really disconnected about that. I also think that it's really false of you to claim that people are focusing their life on dying, when really all of us are focusing on surviving. That's why we're here. Every one of us is here today because we're surviving. We don't go to McDonald's and think, oh, this is killing me. We go to McDonald's because we don't have enough time in the day to make dinner, because we can't afford to go to the grocery store and buy a $20 steak, because we can't shop at Erewhon and get $40 of strawberries, you know? So I think a lot of us are here wondering, what does you, a person who's rich, who doesn't know what struggle is like, and who also talks about the fact that you use your own son's blood, have to add to us as humanity?
Yeah. Hi, Chelsea.
Hey.
Yeah, I grew up with 4 other siblings, single mom. My mother made my clothes because we didn't have enough money for her to buy clothes for me. I went to school and I got made fun of because my clothes didn't fit and they were awkward. I didn't have money my entire life. I became an entrepreneur.
Yeah, how's she gonna sit here and tell him about his struggle? Like saying he don't know how it is to be broke. Like, you don't even know him. Like, you know what I'm saying? You don't know him.
And they were awkward. I didn't have money my entire life. I became an entrepreneur. I struggled for 14 years with no money whatsoever. So I understand what it feels like to have no money. I know what it feels like to be poor. So I've been through that. I also was chronically depressed for 10 years. I wanted to commit suicide desperately. I really would have committed suicide had it not been for my 3 kids. I felt like I had a responsibility to them. So I understand struggle. I understand pain. I was 50 pounds overweight. I was in a terrible shape. And so I understand what it's like to be that way. My argument is not to criticize you or anyone else. What I'm arguing is that companies have built their products to make you addicted and to make you ill. That's the core thing I'm trying to say, is that the most powerful economic engine in all of history, the American economic engine, has pointed itself at creating addictive foods and phones and social media and porn and junk food.
Do you not think that you're addicted to trying to stay alive? Do you not think that that's an addiction? Do you think not doing face fat injections in your face, constantly doing plastic surgery, do you not see that as an addiction yourself?
No, I view it as a pursuit, and we're trying to figure out how.
So if I change the name of my addictions to a pursuit, then maybe you'll think that it's socially acceptable?
I think that we share something in common, that neither one of us wants to die in this moment.
I mean, not today, but sometime, hopefully. Hopefully.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of people would change their opinion and want to exist if the conditions of society were not so brutal. It's not fair.
What have you done to change those brutal conditions in society? You're a person who has literally hundreds of millions of dollars, and you spend $2 million every year trying to look younger. And honestly, you look your age. Yeah. Like, that's the reality. And I'm not even the first person to say that.
What is she arguing, bro?
What are you doing to make humanity better, really, other than pursuing your own vanity?
Yeah, well, I share everything I learned.
Bro, she hate bro so much, bro. Why does she hate bro?
From all the scientific evidence with everybody for free.
But it's scientific evidence from your own body, right? So the study isn't terribly useful to the general population, because a black woman isn't going to have the same biometrics as a 48-year-old white man. So, I mean, in some ways, it's kind of a selfish pursuit that you're trying to make it seem like it's altruistic. I feel like that's the disingenuous part of this conversation, is that you're coming at it from an argument of altruism, but I see it, and I think a lot of people in this room today see it as selfishness and greed, to try and hold on to life as much as you can. So much so.
Bro, what is she arguing, bro? If bro wanna eat healthy or try to I don't know if he does certain things to his skin, that's what she's saying or something like that. But if it's all healthy and he's doing certain things to make himself look healthy and stuff like that, bro, what's the problem, son? If it's not if it's actually healthy, what is the problem? Why is she sitting there saying, oh yeah, you're trying to be selfish for not dying? Yeah, it's all selfish. Just because bro don't want to die. What are you talking about, son?
Bragged about using your teenage son's blood, which I have to tell you, History is not going to be kind about that. Nobody thinks about that woman in the Turkish royalty who bathed in handmaiden's blood and has a positive feeling about that. I don't think anyone is going to read about you in the future and be like, oh, wasn't that great? Wasn't that awesome that Brian Johnson used his own teenage son's blood to make himself younger? No one's going to feel that way.
Wait,
so,
what?
Two things.
Wait, hold on. He used his teenage son's blood to make himself look. I don't know what the hell that's about. Like, I don't know. That sounds like some weird shit. I don't know.
One is the evidence is based upon population level evidence. It's not on Brian Johnson. It's not 48-year-old males. It's population level evidence where you can make conclusions like 7 to 8 hours a night of sleep is good for.
And that's something that rich people get to do and poor people don't get to do. Do you think rich people are working overnight shifts? They're not.
Yeah, you need to give me a little space to respond.
Sure, of course.
Okay, so you did the other thing you were saying about my son's blood. So the reason that came about is my father is now in his early 70s. He has cognitive decline. He called me one day and he said, Brian, I'm suffering that I can't now complete basic work projects. I'm losing my mind and I'm terrified. I said, Dad, my team and I are doing research on cognitive decline. There's a new therapy of exchanging plasma. If it would be helpful to you, I'd be happy.
Therapeutic plasma exchange can help slow cognitive decline in Alzheimer's disease, according to the recent clinical evidence. But it should not be considered a cure, and further research remains necessary to establish its widespread use and effectiveness. Whoa. Okay, so basically they're saying there is some research showing that plasma can help, you know what I'm saying, Alzheimer's disease. But to take in a note, it should not be considered a cure, and further research remains necessary to establish its widespread use. So we need more research on that. But it basically they trying to say that plasma does help with like Alzheimer's disease and cognitive decline. I need to see the studies on it, bro. You know what I'm saying? But we gonna see. You know what I'm saying?
To do this. So I did the plasma exchange for my dad because he's losing his mind. Now my son said, hey, Brian, or Dad, if you're doing this, I'm happy to do it too. We'll make it a tri-generational thing. It wasn't me and my son. It was me doing it for my father. The press, of course, makes headlines of that, and they make you believe that I'm a nefarious actor. That's not the case.
But it's not really just the press doing that, because you walked into this room and that was one of the very first things you said about yourself. You wore it like a badge of honor, and I think that you do that because it's controversial. To sit there and say that that label is given to you by the press is a little bit disingenuous, because you gave that label to yourself, and you did it to be shocking. You did it to make headlines yourself. So to put that onto the press, I actually think is really disingenuous. Thanks.
I don't like talking to win. But there were portions of all the conversations that were truly productive, and that it's instructive for people to see the distinction between a debate that's aimed at local victory and dominance, let's say, even of ideas, and a discussion that's predicated on mutual exploration and establishment of like a harmonious understanding and peace.
I thought the cast was fantastic. I really had a good time. I thought their perspectives were great.
I'm glad that I did this. I think that at the very least, the topics that were brought up in the short time we had work as an incredibly effective springboard for people to think about this kind of stuff. This will hopefully be the beginning of a fountain of useful information and content on those topics.
Hey man, I appreciate y'all for tuning into this video, guys. We dropping vids every Monday, 5 p.m., Wednesday, 5 p.m., and we dropping vids, you know, live streaming Friday at 6 p.m., then dropping that at 12 p.m. on Saturday. So thank y'all for tuning into this vid. Comment down below. Let me know what y'all want me to react to, and we gonna get it popping, man. I appreciate y'all, man. I love y'all. Peace out.